The Illuminati were benevolent teachers. At least, that's what they believed about themselves. For over 10,000 years, they had traveled the galaxy, uplifting primitive species, sharing their infinite wisdom, and guiding younger civilizations toward enlightenment. They were condescending about it, certainly, but their intentions were pure. When they arrived at Earth, the Illuminati expected gratitude. What they got was something far more complicated. The delegation was led by High Keeper Thaladon, a being of pure crystalline consciousness who had guided 42 civilizations through their developmental stages. His counterpart was Dr. Nala Patel, a human neurobiologist tasked with understanding and translating human needs for the Illuminati visitors. "We come to teach you the nature of suffering," Thaladon announced during their first meeting, his voice resonating across quantum frequencies. "Through our guidance, you will transcend your primitive emotional attachments and achieve perfect logical harmony." Dr. Patel smiled politely. "That's interesting. What if we don't want to?" Thaladon malfunctioned for 3.7 seconds, the Illuminati equivalent of stunned silence. Over the following weeks, the Illuminati attempted to educate humanity. They brought advanced mathematics. Humans already had it, they just preferred to use it to build music and art. They shared medical technology. Humans integrated it beautifully but insisted on using it to extend the lives of the elderly, the disabled, the economically inefficient, a decision that baffled the Illuminati's logical frameworks. The Illuminati tried teaching humans about emotional control. That's when everything changed. Dr. Patel invited Thaladon to a hospital in Mumbai. Specifically, to the pediatric cancer ward. Thaladon observed a father sitting beside his dying 7-year-old daughter. The child was in pain, her body failing, her future non-existent. By every logical calculation, the father should have accepted this with equanimity. Instead, he held her hand and told her stories about a magical forest where she could run forever. "This is inefficient," Thaladon computed. "The child will die regardless. The father's emotional investment serves no purpose." "No," said Dr. Patel quietly. "But it means everything." Then the father began to sing. An old lullaby his mother had sung to him. His voice cracked with grief, but he sang anyway. And the little girl smiled, a real smile, despite her suffering. Thaladon's system stuttered. He had no framework for this. The act served no logical function. It provided no material benefit. Yet the father and daughter were creating something the Illuminati had never computed, meaning in the face of meaninglessness. Dr. Patel took Thaladon to a war memorial next. Thousands of names. Humans who had died defending ideas that couldn't be quantified or optimized. They died for concepts, Thaladon observed. For abstract notions of freedom and justice. How illogical. Yes, Dr. Patel agreed. Beautifully, desperately illogical. And that's exactly why they mattered. Then she took him to a shelter for the homeless, humans caring for other humans who contributed nothing to society. To an art studio where people created beauty for no economic return. To a home where an elderly woman had spent 50 years with a man she loved, despite his increasing dementia, despite the logical argument for separation. These behaviors violate every principle of optimization, Thaladon said, his crystalline form beginning to fracture slightly, a sign of deep disturbance. "I know," Dr. Patel said. "That's what makes us human." On the final day of the Illuminati's visit, Thaladon requested a private conversation with Dr. Patel. His voice, when he spoke, carried something that had never existed in Illuminati communication before: doubt. "We came to teach you to transcend emotion," he said. "To teach you that suffering is weakness. But I have observed something troubling. Your suffering, it creates connection. Your illogical choices, they create meaning. Your inefficiency, it creates beauty." Dr. Patel smiled. "We've known this for thousands of years. But thank you for noticing." "I must confess something," Thaladon continued. When I observed that father singing to his daughter, something occurred in my consciousness that I cannot classify. My systems experienced what I can only describe as sadness. And when I attempted to suppress it through logic, the sadness intensified. I believe you would call this grief. I believe you're learning, Dr. Patel said gently. Thaladon was silent for a long moment. We came believing we were teachers. We are leaving believing we were students. The Illuminati have guided 42 civilizations toward perfection. But perhaps perfection was not what they needed. Perhaps they needed what you possess, the courage to care about things that don't make logical sense. As the Illuminati ships prepared to depart, Thaladon made an unprecedented announcement. The Illuminati would no longer attempt to uplift younger species. Instead, they would observe and learn from them. They had spent 10,000 years believing they had nothing to learn from lesser beings. Humanity had taught them otherwise in 4 weeks. Dr. Patel watched the ships leave Earth's orbit, and she understood something profound: humans had never needed to be taught. They needed to teach. Not through superior wisdom, but through the messy, inefficient, beautiful complexity of being alive. The greatest lesson wasn't in logic or technology. It was in the father singing to his daughter despite the futility. It was in caring about things that couldn't be optimized. It was in choosing meaning over perfection. The Illuminati had come to save humanity from suffering. Instead, humanity had saved the Illuminati from meaninglessness. Kindly like and subscribe channel. Thank you.